welcome to SportsZONE live from the new Athletic Wellness Center. I'm Lauren Squires, alongside Nick Helton.
And tonight we've got a lot of special things for you. We're going to take a look at the men's soccer team's trip to Florida, some highlights from the first game here in the AWC, and a live hot seat with head coach Dan Rother to the soccer team.
That's right, and Nick, isn't it great to finally be in this facility?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I remember coming in here like earlier this year and it wasn't even close to this. It's great to see where it's at.
You know, we got the floor, we got the fans, we got the restrooms, we've got the locker rooms. Now we're just waiting on that new wellness center in there, and we are greatly appreciated, glad to be in here.
Of course, everything is here, and they're about ready to take some action out here on the floor with the men. But let's switch gears to the soccer team first, because the men's soccer team made school history last week.
Then they traveled to North Carolina Wesleyan, where they beat North Carolina and University of Redlands. And then here comes the part where they broke history. They took a trip down to the Final Four at Disney World. They traveled hundreds of miles down to Florida.
We left at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, and we got here at 7 o'clock this morning.
Let's go, Loris!
Many missing Thanksgiving with their families, all to support the Loris men's soccer team as they make history in their first ever Final Four appearance.
Go, Duhawks!
And as the 23-0-1 Duhawks entered the field to play in the Final Four, a crowd of just over 100 fans gathered to cheer them on.
Let's go, Loris!
But it was a defensive battle. In the first half, neither team making an attack. Loris comes close though as Santi Mejia with the pass to Mike Rittker on the right side. He knocks it just wide left, still tied at 0. Then in the 16th minute of regulation, Middlebury is awarded a free kick. Brandon Jackson strikes it right at Loris goalkeeper Nate Dubois. That's one of 6 saves on the night. Neither team able to get on the board, which forced a double overtime. The game goes down in the record books as a tie, and that forces it into penalty kicks.
We knew going into penalty kicks what we were going to do, who was going to take them, and what order.
First up for Loris, Miguel Bonilla slips up, and it's knocked off by keeper Brian Bush. Next up, Middlebury's Andrew Jerminski sends this one past Dubai. Middlebury up by 1. But Matt Pucci answers back as he shoots this one past Bush to the back of the net. It's tied at 1. Next, Nick Rizzo with the final shot. Middlebury up 3-1. Bush saves it and Middlebury celebrates.
It hurts, you know, to go out this way, but I guess all you can do now is look back and think of all the good stuff that happened this year and realize that we had a great season. On paper, we never lost. So
Soccer can be a cruel game.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not really the sport of soccer when you get the penalties. Losing in penalty kicks, it's not a loss. I mean, so we end up 23-0-2.
And with a record like that, although they're not coming home with a national title, the trip down there was well worth the ride.
Hey, we're that close. Let's take that next step. So.
And it was a great ride. Joining us now live in this week's hot seat is Coach Dan Rother. Coach, thanks for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Now tell me, when you started this season, back in August, could you imagine that you'd get to the point you are now?
You know, we had a little hunch that we're going to be pretty good. My wife and I didn't make Thanksgiving plans, so no, in all reality, we thought we'd have a good team. You know, we had our hopes pretty high. We did set a goal at the Final Four. Team, you know, the guys set that goal at the beginning of the year. You know, was it reality to go undefeated and that type of thing? You know, not many teams, no team other than us in all divisions of soccer went undefeated. So I can't imagine that, you know, was going to happen. But it turned out to be fantastic. And, you know, I thought we would be pretty good, but Final Four, undefeated, you know, that's beyond my wildest dreams. Fantastic.
Not a bad deal at all. Now, this has never happened in the history of Loris College. How proud are you of these guys?
Yeah, you know, it was all them. You know, in all honesty, you know, they have so much input in our program, ownership and what we do on the field, off the field, that, you know, and they really are a brotherhood, and that's what really took us that far. So I'm so proud of them, and, you know, like I told them after the game, you know, I feel like I'm their big brother, and I just kind of guide them along. So definitely proud.
Now, a lot of people have focused on the Colombians for your team. They've done real well this season. But what about the seniors? What do they mean to you this year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, our leadership has really made the difference. Our 4 seniors, our 4 captains, Tom Richlak, Matt Pucci, Matt Brumfield, Mike Richter, all fantastic guys. Have learned a lot as the program has grown the last few years. They were on that team that went to the Sweet 16 a few years back. made a run on that team, saw what the seniors brought to that program, saw the leadership, saw how they made the team chemistry work, and really brought that to this year's team. And I can't say enough. This year's success has been put on them, but I think that what they showed the younger guys will go into the future. So
it's a great legacy to start. Hopefully we'll see you back there next year. Congratulations on a great season, and thanks for joining us tonight,
thanks
Coach.
so much. It's a pleasure.
Been a pleasure. Switching real quick from soccer back to basketball. Once again, we are in this new facility, and last week before break, we hosted Clark College. Let's take a look at those highlights. The Duhawks getting fired up to start out in their new home, and they started out strong. Luke Slater with the three. It's 3-0 early on. Then again, Matt Sequest with a pass to Brian Centella for the quick two. But Clark came ready to fight back. Watch this as Peter Rodriguez to DeMarvez Russell for the 3 points. It's 32-17. Here we go again. This time, Clark's Michael Acaples with the dunk. Duhawks down 41-27 at half. In the second half, Loris would try to come back on this Centella pass to Luke Slater for 2 points. The very next play, Slater with the drive. It's a 9-point game, but Loris couldn't make it happen. Clark wins it 84-71. Basketball team entered this season ranked 8th in the nation on preseason polls, but now they've got fans scratching their heads.
After dropping the first 2 games here in the AWC, one to crosstown rival Clark and the other to highly touted Wheaton,
they finally got a win on the road against Mount Mercy this past Sunday. Of course, they've got a long way to go if they're going to repeat last year.
Now here with a look at what we can expect tonight in tonight's game is Luke Patarozzi and our Duhawk Breakdown.
We are 1-2. I'd prefer to be 3-0. We have the philosophy is we want to play hard teams. We want to play good teams. We want to play established teams. That prepares us as best we can for the most important season, which is our conference season.
In preparing for the conference season, the Duhawks use their non-conference schedule in finding their identity and weakness. And as a team,
goal accomplished. We know where our weak points are. We know what we need to work on. Our guys are fully attentive to detail and hopefully prepared well for our start of our conference season on Wednesday.
Those weaknesses include improving defensively and rebounding better.
We are attempting every day to get better defensively, and our last game on Sunday night proved that we can defend.
In their 87-66 win over Mount Mercy, the Duhawks out-rebounded the Mustangs 37-27 and held them to only 39% shooting, a drastic improvement from the first 2 games when opponents shot a combined 56.5% from the floor. It will be a difficult task tonight as Central boasts one of the best 3-guard combinations in Zach Clark, Miguel Lee, and Brett DeHogue.
They love to drive it and draw people and give it, and they like to drive it and score it. And we have got to keep those kids out of the paint.
Central's 3 have combined for nearly 60% of the Dutch points this year, but if the Duhawks can stick to the game plan, consider it their first conference win in the AWC. For SportsZONE, I'm Luke Patarozzi.
Thanks, Luke. We're going to take a quick break. Welcome back. We're live from the new Athletic Wellness Center. And Nick, we're talking wrestling now. 22 of the 24 wrestlers placed in the Concordia Open before Thanksgiving break.
Great performance, and you can tell that this team is definitely stacked with some talent.
Over the last 2 years, people have followed the career of Jay Figgins. The 184-pounder is the face of Loris Wrestling. He's made a name for himself not only in Iowa, but on the national stage. But if you look closely, you'll find that this standout is far from the only talent this team has. Down a few weight classes from Figgins is Mark Beatty. The sophomore 125-pounder is making waves with a couple of top 2 finishes.
Wrestled some good kids, got my confidence pretty high, so I'm feeling better this year at the beginning.
And a little confidence is exactly what the Duhawks have. The team made impressive showings in their first 2 meets, but it's the next outing they're concerned with. Loris looks to avenge last year's shutout at the hands of eventual national runner-up Wartburg.
Well, Wartburg's always tough, and I wrestled him last year, and hopefully I can get an upset, get closer with him, and maybe get him at conference this year.
The Duhawks currently hold the number 23 ranking in the country, but they know there's a tough road ahead if they hope to move up. The duel against Warburg is just the beginning of one of the toughest schedules in the nation. Despite the pressure and difficulty, up-and-comer Chris Bishop is ready to make no excuses.
It's a couple of years. It's always been, oh, they're young, they got to develop. Well, you know, eventually you just got to get over that hump and just do it. And I think that's what we're focused on now.
And with every match, the younger Duhawks continue to take command in hopes of extending the great tradition of Loras wrestling that grapplers like Jay Figgins have preserved over the years.
The men travel to Warburg tomorrow, La Crosse, Wisconsin this weekend, and then they'll be back here at home on December 6th to take on the University of Dubuque.
Of course, it's the last week of classes, so it'll be a great study break. Make sure you get out there and support the Duhawks.
Should be a fun time. I should be able to make it out to that one. Should be a good one.
Real quick before we go, we got a coaching change. Coach Matt Kell will no longer serve as the offensive coordinator. No word yet on his replacement.
Yeah, that'll be a tough loss for the men after a tough season. 2-8 on the season, but that's how it goes sometimes.
That is how it goes. We'll see what happens next year. And that's all the time we got today, Nick.
Yep, we'll be heading back down to Rob and Cullen.
So stay tuned next week for the latest and greatest Duhawk athletics.